And hello, welcome to This Xbox Life, episode 423. We got games. I am Mark, aka Wingman 709, and that beautiful music you heard was I pulled a Brun and we got the ad on Twitch going over our intro. How beautiful was that? Um, so yeah, we did that. We did that on purpose though. We did that just in memory of Brun. With me tonight is my good buddy Rob.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And he's recording live from the bathroom. So no, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. I just tease. I
stall
tease.
number two.
Stall number two. Looks like they got a nice chair though. It looks like it's a leather covered chair you got.
It's a throne.
It's a throne.
Yeah,
All right. So Rob is in his new location. So uh, that's why things look different. And he's still in the process of moving in. So he's on his Apple iPhone headset that he doesn't use on an iPhone.
it is not iPhone. This is Samsung all the way.
Stealing the Apple White. All
Okay,
right.
I didn't know that Apple trademarked the color, but all right.
Probably, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, Rob, we got a lot to talk about this week, so why don't we jump into it? And what have you been playing this week?
Not a heck of a lot. Just moving. Actually, if there was a game that involved boxes and moving stuff and doing Tetris with boxes, that's what I was playing, and it sucks. I don't want to play this game ever again. I want a refund.
Uh,
That's about it for me.
Tetris for reals, right?
Tetris for Reals sucks a lot, as I'm sure you know, because you've done it, I think, more than I have.
I am done doing that. At least that's my hope. I hope and
That's
hope.
what we always say. We always say that the last one was the last one, then there's always the next one. How does that work? I don't like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully
like,
our show's broadcast. It looks like it's broadcasting.
yeah, it is.
I can't seem to chat in the chat window. Um, it's not letting like I hit enter, I hit chat, and it's not posting it. So I do not know what the dealio is there. So I don't know if anyone's going to be able to chat or if it's just me.
It's just you.
It might be.
It's working for me.
I don't see it. I don't see anything in that chat window.
Well, there's
Maybe maybe I'll have
Revlobot
to.
and myself so far. I
Okay. Well,
posted.
it's. I'm hoping that's good as long as it works for you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, there it worked. Okay, I just
All
refreshed.
right. Great.
Stupid freaking Twitch page and Chrome and PCs and all this stuff that doesn't work. All right,
So
so
complicated.
I know. While you've been playing real life Tetris, I've been playing virtual games. And one of the things I did, I played Rock Band 4 this weekend with Xbox recording that. That is his. No, stop listening. um,
Didn't know that was gonna happen, did you?
I was trying to say it quiet enough that the Connect wouldn't hear it, but it's watching TV right now, so it was like I can't do that. I can only record game clips. And I played Rock Band 4 because they now have uh, uh, multiplayer, so you can play with your friends over the internet. A feature that was in Rock Band 2 and 3, and then they took them a year and an expansion pack, put it into 4. So I'm like, real lame, guys. But I had a good time playing with them and enjoyed playing multiplayer Rock Band 4 again. I tried the For Honor beta. This, I can say this much. I'm not buying the game. It looks
Really? How
really,
come?
really good. It looks fantastic. Have you tried
It
this,
does.
Rob?
Yeah. No.
Okay. It's
All my stuff's still in boxes and totes.
oh okay. It looks really. Whoa, Rob is full screen. Whew, scared me.
Ooh.
Oops. I wonder if that's gonna take you. I think I might have just messed up. I just moved. I just moved my. Yeah, that Rob just disappeared. I moved my Skype window.
Nice, Jeff.
You're back. So you just disappeared for a few minutes. Hey, I'm not used to this. I'm trying to get, Brun usually does this. Anyways, so for the For Honor beta, the game looks fantastic. I mean, it's a gorgeous game. I was just like, wow, this is beautiful, and I really enjoyed Rise: Son of Rome, which I think this is, very similar type of game, but this game is going to be just too complicated for me. They've got, and it's just not me. I need simple. I'm an old guy. I'm slow. I need simple, right? I need Tetris. But like you can block um, a top attack, a left or the right. You can strike left, right, or up, and there's like several different button combinations to make it so, like, you hold the left trigger and then move the stick a certain way to defend, or you let go of the trigger, I think, and hit the right trigger and move the stick, or hit the A button, or so. I don't know. There's different combinations on how you want to light, like a medium strike or a hard strike, or there's, and it's just, I think it's okay. What I played was more of real people against AI, so it was kind of more of a horde mode. That's the only thing I played. I didn't want to play against real people because I'm like, man, this is just, I was getting my butt kicked by AI, and I'm like, I just don't want to go in and do this against real people. It's just going to be one of those that'll frustrate me because other people are going to be so quick with their strikes and stuff, and it's not me. It's not my type of game. So I'm not going to get it. But I did enjoy what I played because I was playing against AI. Um, but I think this game is mainly going to be a lot of multiplayer. That's what it's really geared towards. And I think there's a campaign for it, but I even thought, you know what? Even the campaign's probably going to frustrate me because they're going to come at you, and I'm going to struggle with it just with the controls. So I'm not going to end up getting this game, but it really is
Okay.
beautiful. And then Mojo Red, I saw him playing Rainbow Six Siege the other night, so I'm like, hey, you got room? He was playing Terrorist Hunt. I haven't played that in a while, and he's like, yeah, I'm playing. So I hopped in and I was like talking to him. I was like, so did you get the new season pass? And he's like, yeah, I got it. Figured why not? And I was like, yeah, you're right. It's just money anyways, right? So I went and go ahead, dropped the $30. So it's Mojo Red's fault that I bought that season pass 2 for Siege. But the new map was really cool. So it's a great game, and I'm like, yeah, I don't mind paying and supporting a developer when they do make good stuff, and they're gonna have another season of more content. So, and man, I had a lot of fun in Terrace Hunt that night. I was like, man, I haven't played this in far too long. Um, so I really enjoyed playing that. But that's it for me. So,
Okay.
and I'm already messing up on here, not advancing
Just like a
slides.
picture of.
And Braun come back. So Braun's out because he's sick again. Um, so we gotta wish him well, so he can hopefully be back next week. He was sick last week, and believe it or not, he sounded pretty good, but he was sick. But he still made the show. And this week he's just like, guys, I can't do it. I'm going to bed. So get better, Braun. All right. Anything else on what you played there, Rob?
Nope. Nope.
All right. So you can support us at Patreon by going to thisxboxlife.com/Patreon. Or if you want to leave us a one time tip, go to thisxboxlife.com/donate. We do appreciate the tips. All right. Round table time. And I got a Call of Duty. So, Rob, do you like the latest where Call of Duty's gone? Do you like the whole space thing, or do you like it back to its roots?
I kind of stopped playing Call of Duty a while back. I don't really pay attention to it. Unfortunately, it's nice that they're going to different themes. I'll call it that because if you go back to its roots, there's only so much World War II we can handle every year. So it's kind of nice that they're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But it has been a while since we have had World War II, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's I find it interesting timing too. But IGN reported this week that Activision has said Call of Duty is going to take Call of Duty back to its roots. Uh, they elaborated that traditional combat will once again take center stage in this year's title, which is currently being done by Sledgehammer Games. They did say that there was a lower than expected sales of Infinite Warfare, noting that the space setting didn't resonate with players and Infinite Warfare wasn't the success we planned. Um, so that's really all they said. But so here's my question: going back to their roots, does that necessarily mean World War II? Because they didn't state World War II, and that's really where
It's
Call
gotta
of
be.
Duty came from.
It's gotta be.
Do you think the success of Battlefield One has anything to do with that?
Could be. Could be.
Because I think that
So
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, if I believe correctly, and I could look it up, but I believe that it still outsold Battlefield One,
okay.
but not by near as
Hey,
much as it. It's like the numbers were a lot closer this time. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh my god, stupid! I hate that site. I hate IGN, dude. You tell it no ads. You got it all turned off, and then they just keep like the pages like refreshes just to spit their ads out at you, dirt bags. Um, I just I don't know. I don't think I have any desire. I mean, I didn't finish the campaign for Infinite Warfare, but I've heard a lot of good things about this one. Like people seem to really like the campaign, but I haven't heard anything much about the multiplayer, which I guess that's what Call of Duty is. It is the multiplayer. So I guess that's where it's getting the negative reviews, if you will. So I guess if you like World War II, which we're assuming that the next Call of Duty comes out in November of this year, we'll be back to that World War II type of warfare.
so now that I think about it, like immediately I think when I hear back to its roots, I immediately think World War II. Could they mean the gameplay? Like they're going to be changing something with the gameplay instead of
Well,
like
that's the
a
thing. The article
time?
just talked about gameplay. They didn't state about back to its roots of its setting,
Yeah.
back to the roots. So maybe they could. It could also mean that they're going to get away from. Well, the thing is because they did say the space setting didn't resonate, so they're going to go back to their roots. Well, does that mean World War II? Because modern warfare was like huge. That
Oh,
really I think
oh, yeah.
propelled Call of Duty just like astronomically. I mean, Call of Duty was very popular, but Modern Warfare
Yep.
was as well. So, but you could look at it as like back to the roots in the setting, which is what I kind of take from the way they said that. But they also mentioned about the style of play, which, okay, now is it getting to be with all these perks and all these things? Are they going to just kind of cut all that out and go back to just like your standard shooter without all the perks and the special moves and the special abilities? And, because that could be going back to their roots too.
Yeah, could be.
But I guess we'll have to wait till E3 when they announce it during the Sony PlayStation press conference, since Activision has squarely sided with Sony and gotten in bed with them. So we won't see anything until the Sony
Yeah.
press conference. All right. So, anyways, oh great, I got to go back to their website. So IGN again, dirtbags. They've released some updates to Destiny, and I'm not a Destiny fan. Rob, I don't think you are.
No, nope.
Braun was the one who did a lot of. Even though I played this a lot, but I know we got a lot of people out there. So they've got an update 2.5.0.2. This is a hot fix for Destiny. It is set to release on the 14th of February on Valentine's Day. How sweet.
So what are they
Um,
trying to ruin Valentine's Day?
well, I don't know. Maybe if your love of your life likes to play Destiny, then you guys can share in the hot fix together.
Seven chance.
It's a hot fix for Valentine's.
Mhm.
The hot fix is going to focus primarily on weapon balancing, based on player feedback and in studio testing. Uh, so and I'm not going to read all these notes at all, but there's going to be some class changes, and let's see, exotics are some of the rarest, strongest weapons and armor in Destiny. Guardians can only equip one armor and exotic, so they're going to balance out Universal Remote, Truth, Shinoba's Vow, and Young Wolf's Howl. So there's kind of some other things that are going to be changed. And then they got some PvP Crucible stuff that's going to be changed as well. So in the Crucible side, the sidearms will still spawn with ammo upon death. Players start matches with special ammo, but you now lose all special ammo upon death. Special ammo crates will spawn every 60 seconds. Previously, this was 90. Reduce the radius for special ammo drops for teammates when you pick up ammo from 100 meters to 75 meters. Players only start with special on the first round in elimination, and invective and icebreaker are not affected. So just for those Destiny players, those are some things coming up this week in that game. Outside of the current game, it is official now that Destiny is getting its sequel. Fight with these guys all night, aren't I? Stupid ads. So Activision has confirmed that a sequel to Destiny is still on track for release in 2017. So we are looking at a Destiny Part 2. In a presentation accompanying its fourth quarter 2016 earnings today, Activision, well, not today, but the day the article was written, Activision clarified that it will release a full Destiny sequel in 2017 to broaden the franchise's global reach, which, along with follow-on content plans, sets the stage for growth. So, if you're looking for Destiny 2, it is on the way. Do not have a release date, but I would imagine. Do you think this will release, Rob, in the holiday season against Call of Duty, the next battle? Because we got Call of Duty coming out, Battlefield, right. Or Star Wars Battlefront 2 is coming out this holiday. I mean, those are the only two I can think off the top of my head, but those are, the big juggernauts that come out every year. You think Destiny will throw its hat in the ring, or maybe come out summertime between maybe June and September?
Yeah, I don't see it. It would have to be October, November. And they got to get in the mix there.
It could probably hang. I mean, it's a very popular game.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's just anything that releases early just gets forgotten about after October, November. They'd have to release right around that time. I would think. That's what would make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, what makes sense to us and what they do is several different things. So, all right.
I guess it depends on if you want to get that gaming dollar early, and then you don't care.
Well, I think. I guess it depends on what else is really going to come out. Like Mass Effect is coming out here early, so that's not going to be sitting back there. All your sports games should be out already.
How early?
Huh?
How early?
Mass Effect's coming out March, right? The end of March.
Oh yeah.
That's like 6 weeks away. So you don't have that juggernaut coming out. But I'm sure there's probably going to be a Forza game, but that really doesn't fit into. That's not Destiny's not competing against that. They are going to compete against Call of Duty and Battlefield for the money, I believe. And you think about it, I don't know when the last one came out. I'd have to look that up. But I am going to look that up because I'm curious. When the original Destiny launched. Let's see. Got to go to the Wikipedia.
So,
September.
I'm sorry, but I have to say this. Is the sequel going to be Destiny's Child?
Maybe. So the original game released in September. So I honestly wouldn't think that they would dip into November timeframe. I would imagine these guys would want to release it and just not risk being. And plus, it's Activision. They don't want to release in November against their other franchise, Call of Duty.
That's true.
So I think we'll
maybe
probably
a good
see.
Maybe a good time is right after E3. Catch the buzz. Ride the buzz off of the show.
Yeah, I would imagine they're gonna do a big reveal and all that, and then which is interesting. If they are releasing it this year, we haven't seen anything But I don't know. If you think about Activision, they don't. They kind of tend to hold their money and they go all out in a blitz. Shortly. They don't do this 3 year lead up to marketing. So yeah, I think September will probably would be a good safe time for Destiny 2. We'll see.
Yep.
Probably E3. All right. So Rob, you've played games from Valve, correct?
Yes, sir.
And have you played any on console?
I don't think I have.
So I gotta ask this because the Gabe Newell said, "Don't expect to see any Valve developed games coming to consoles anytime
So there's still a chance.
soon." Gabe has come forward to express the company's lack of interest in developing for restrictive platforms. So, when I read this, I my thought was I like restrictive platforms because the games work. Now, yes, on occasion there's server side issues or there's always going to be a bug or something in a game, but it's like I don't have to worry about, oh, it doesn't work with this processor, it doesn't work with this video card, or you got to update this driver. And I like the whole closed system. I mean, I used to be a PC gamer and I got so tired of dealing with massive patches and constant driver issues and all these different things. And it's like ever since I've gone to console gaming, you put your disc in or you launch the digital version, you click it, and boom, you install it and you play.
Right.
Um, so I don't really understand what the whole closed restrictive systems. We don't want to develop for them. We want to develop for PC only. And I'm sorry, I gotta believe that Valve would see a lot more money if they were developing for consoles because you would have a lot less piracy going on. I mean, what do you think,
Yeah.
Rob?
So, I mean, it's a very good question because Valve's been around for a really long time. They started making games, then they did the whole Steam system, which just wasn't Steam initially just a way to play multiplayer games or something like that. I could have sworn that's how it started. But anyway, it just grew into this huge, massive store. And now that's where the majority of PC folks, get their games from. Except for like the AAA titles, which on release you get at the store or whatnot. There's so many like indie developers that release on there. You have the there's early access games that are on there, and they profit from that. I'm sure that they get a cut from each sale, and would they lose that by developing on consoles? Probably, because now they're going to be paying Sony, they're going to be paying Nintendo, they're going to be paying Xbox, Microsoft. So I could see them just not wanting to give that up. However, there's a huge market for uh, PC gaming that they could tap. However, would the hardcore gamers, would they just grab the titles on PC? Like Brun, for example, he gets a lot of stuff on Steam, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does, but I don't think he invests a lot of time either. But and like myself, I play. I would probably buy like Steam games or Valve games if they put them on the console. I had the Orange Box, which was released on 360. Um, didn't they do Left for Dead? Wasn't that Valve?
No, I
Uh,
don't think so.
I thought it was. Or am I thinking of the wrong? Yeah, Left for Dead. I'm pretty sure that's exactly who makes this. I think those are Valve games. Left for Dead and Left for Dead 2. Source
I
engine.
gotta take a look now.
I'm looking and it says, oh, that's yeah, it's Valve. Yeah. So Valve was the publisher and Valve South was the developer. So I
Oh,
mean, they've
yeah.
done it before, and Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 were like really popular games. I can't believe they don't want to tap into that money market. And what I find interesting too is they're like, well, we don't want to um, work on a restrictive system. Well, isn't Steam in and of itself sort of restrictive? Because like there's been some games that have released recently on the Windows platform where you can buy the Windows version or the Steam version. And if you have the Steam version, you can't play with the Windows version people. Well, then why is that? Then that tells me that Steam is a restricted environment. That they won't even let PC gamers play together unless you're in their environment. So it seems kind of ridiculous that they're sitting there saying, well, we're not going to develop on a restricted system when they are developing for their own restricted system.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I say, whatever, Gabe. All the power to you, man. You won't get me coming over, and you're not going to get my money. If you want my money, then put something out on the Xbox One, and you're going to get a lot more gamers, a lot more purchases if you develop for the PlayStation and the Xbox. That's just simple math. You've got what between both consoles of the current consoles, 80 plus million consoles out there, and they don't want a part of that. I mean, that's a big group of people, and I would say there's
The
probably
PC,
a lot of those
the
people
PC
that are
side is,
what's that?
so maybe the PC side is so big that they just don't care.
I would still think an additional 80 million people that you could reach out to,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
some of them are going to be PC gamers and console gamers, but not all of them.
right.
It's just like not all PC gamers play on consoles, not all console players play on PC. Um, it's just like me. I do not play on PC. It's very rare. The last time I did, I bought XCOM 2, and the freaking thing didn't work. And it's just like, oh, I get it on the Xbox One. Guess what? The game worked. It's just like, why
Yeah,
would I? It was just a reminder. Yep, stay away from PC gaming. It's not worth the hassle. And I don't care if they made Half Life 3 for PC only. Guess what? I'm not going to bother. So, but I just found it ironic that they would say we're not going to develop for a restricted system when they have their own and they're restricting
right.
current Windows games. If you're not in their ecosystem, you can't play against the same people of the same game playing the same game on the same Windows 10 OS, but you can't play with them because they're not in Steam. It's ridiculous.
I just looked here. Left 4 Dead 2 came out in 2009,
Wow.
so it's been quite a while
Yeah.
since they released anything.
All right.
Oh well.
Enough of that. They suck. They know it. I'm right. They're wrong.
Okay.
All right. So I wanted to. So Mass Effect Andromeda is coming up again next month, and Rob, you went through. I know you said you played what part of 2 and 3 or something like that.
I played part of about halfway through 3, and then I don't know how far I got in 1.
Okay. So, but you remember the Paragon Renegade system, right?
Mm,
Regarding your choices, like
fresh my memory.
so when you were in the dialogue and you were selecting the dialogue you wanted to say, like there was choices that were Paragon which were
Oh
good,
yeah.
like you
Okay.
were the good guy, and if you said certain things it would kind of put points toward the renegade, means you kind of like because there was options of like you know punch him in the face or say something nice or something like that. Well, if you punched him in the face then you're kind of renegade, you're like and then if you were the other guy, you're nice and you're the good shepherd and you work with people and you're otherwise you're just a rebel. Well, that system's been in all three Mass Effect games, and they're getting rid of it. It's been removed for Mass Effect Andromeda. Um, so, in an interview with official Xbox Magazine, Walters, uh, Mac Walters, creative director, has explained that it didn't really make sense if we weren't going to have Shepard as our protagonist. Walter said the new system is based more around agreeing and disagreeing. He said in the original trilogy, players would choose a dialogue response based on whether it was Paragon or Renegade and not actually thinking about what they were saying. And I totally disagree with that statement. But with agree and disagree, it changes by the circumstances and it changes by the character you're talking to. So you have to actually be more engaged in what's going on to know if you're going to do that, said Walters. You'll also be able to respond in varying tones of voice to get your point across. We added in 4 tones, and we'll talk a little more in the future, but basically, they allow other types of characters to express themselves in one of 4 different ways, and sometimes 1 or 2 different ways, and I think that gets back to more traditional role-playing sort of feeling with is less about do I want it to be good or bad, and more about how do I want to express myself. They're going to talk more about tones in a future in a couple of weeks. So, I mean, I don't kind of agree with them. I know if I recall on their dialogue wheel, if you went left, the left selections, whether you had 2 or 3 on the left, they were all Paragon, but there were still different options of how you could respond. And then to the right was the same thing. Usually it would match 2 or 3, and anything to the right was the Renegade. And so I feel like I still would like read these. Yes, I was playing Paragon, so I would pretty much just read the ones on the left, and maybe that's what he's referring to. But I just didn't want to play as a bad guy. I actually tried to do a Mass Effect run as a Paragon, and I didn't get very far, and I ended up going back trying to play as Renegade. And a little while into it, I'd go back and play as Paragon. I'm just, it's like it's not the type of game. In that type of game, I don't really want to be a bad guy. It's just
Right.
not what I want to do. It's just innate, natural. I think those types of games reach more to like, how would you think? How would you uh, respond to this? And it's just like this is really, this is the path I want to take. It's not like GTA where you go around and shoot up cops and gangs, and it's very different. I can do that and be the bad guy in an action game like that, but in like a role playing, it's different. I feel like it's very different for me. I have a hard time being the bad guy. What about you?
I get it. To some degree, the choices that you make, especially if you are playing the game, uh, if you get like sucked into the game, you're gonna make the choices, like say, like morally to what you believe in to some degree. I mean, don't you agree with that? Like, you tend to do things like how you would actually do it in real life.
Yeah, in this type of
Yeah.
game, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I definitely see how it might be difficult to play the other way, unless you have done it one way and then now you're playing through a second time and you want to do it the other way just for the experience. But, I could see people's motivations in the games be based off of their morals.
Yeah, and I don't see anything. I mean, for me, it was like I can't remember. I'm trying to remember if the conversations were timed. Um, I cannot remember if you had to respond within a set amount of time or not. I don't think so. Like I know, like the Telltale games. When you got to do your dialogue, you only have a short amount of time to respond, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's like
Or
I was still
choose,
reading
like,
them. Like,
and then
um,
it goes like, what? No response?
so
You don't
I
have anything to say?
Yeah, I don't. So hopefully, because my concern now is if it was timed, or it's going to be timed in Andromeda, and they're going to give you these different options, and then you've got to decide on your tone as well, on how to. Okay, I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to make sure you give us time to read everything. And I think with Mass Effect, I did. I think you had time to read. I don't think it was. I don't think they limited. Gave you like 15 seconds to respond. I'm trying to remember that, but um, now it's just I don't
Watch,
know. Now they're going to add
watch
in your
now.
emotion.
Watch now. In the beginning of the game, it gives you a reading test to see how fast you can read. They
Please
should
read the
do that.
following paragraph aloud.
Then click A when you're done.
Welcome to Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you are on the slow track. we'll give you 18 minutes to respond to all dialogue options in the game. Like, sweet. So,
With your little reading helmet.
exactly. All right. So, anyways, that'll be interesting to see what comes out. I don't know if I agree with I didn't necessarily agree with their reasoning. I want to play as a good guy, so yeah, I'm going to ignore the other side. It didn't mean I did not know what was going on in the game. If I ignore the renegade, doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to the story or that I'm not paying attention to the dialogue. I'm very much, but I'm only going to read those that are on the good side if that's the way I want to play. You know, so I don't see what was wrong with that. All right. So, Rob,
Yes.
this is gonna be all right. So this next one, now we could this could potentially upset people, and I just want to say direct all hate mail towards Rob at thisxboxlife.com.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this was my story, but this was from your buddy Paul Thurrott, and
Okay.
he had an article about the Xbox One faces a familiar sales story in January. And we got to get honest, people. I know we're an Xbox podcast, and we all are fans of this. And dang, Rob, have some soda, buddy. Jeez. This is-
My cups and glasses are still in boxes. Give me a break.
you drink straight out of a 2 liter. It's like you're drinking 40s over there or
There's
something.
nothing left in here. End of the bottle.
um, it was full when we started the show, people. Um, so anyways, so I want to take a moment out. We're not bashing, we're not hating on Xbox, but I think we do need to have a discussion about this, Rob, because
Okay.
it is reality, and I'm curious as to your thoughts on, does the reality matter? Um, so I want to read this a couple of items that Mr. Thurrott stated in this article. So he says this is starting to become a tradition. Microsoft announces record sales of its Xbox One console, but it still manages to fall short of the PS4. Thanks to quote, thanks to well, I don't need to read that. Yeah, I do need to. So he said, here's the Microsoft quote: "Thanks to continued support by our fans, 2017 is off to a strong start as Xbox One game hours grew 21% year over year." A Microsoft statement attributed to corporate vice president of Xbox marketing Mike Nichols reads, "In addition, in the U.S., Xbox One has had its best January to date and was the only eighth generation console that saw growth in January compared to the prior year, according to the NPD Group. Team Xbox is committed to delivering the best gaming performance for our fans." You'll notice what Microsoft doesn't say was that the Xbox One was the best-selling console in January. And yes, that's because the PS4 took the crown again, based on NPD data, meaning it's accurate and US only. Well, we all know that Sony beats Microsoft hands down outside of the US. So Sony's beating Xbox in the US. So it says, as you may recall, Xbox One experienced its biggest month ever for sales in the US in December, and that, like this past month, was only the current gen console with year-over-year growth, and yet it fell short in December too, and in November as well. So as I noted last month, the silver lining is that Xbox One looks great if you look at a wider time period. Xbox One somehow outsold PS4 over the second half of 2016, for example. But with years of defeats at the hands of the PS4, I think it's time to just admit that Xbox is never going to catch up, not in this console generation. Question then is whether that's okay. Um, the and he says too, the market for dedicated video game consoles seems quite strong, and while no one should be happy with a 2-to-1 deficit when compared to the market leader, the approximately 25 million Xbox One consoles out in the world is nothing to be embarrassed by. That's a solid business, but more important, Xbox One sales have outpaced those of its predecessors during a similar time, and the 360 went on to sell 80 million units. So he's saying, the Xbox One is already ahead of pace of what the 360 did at this time frame in its life, and they sold 80 million units, so Xbox One will probably surpass that. But Sony is, got to be real, they're beating Xbox 2-to-1. and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. And I honestly don't believe Project Scorpio is the answer. Um, the only way I think that can be the answer to it, or to help s- slow the rate of falling behind, is if it's released at the same price as the Pro, which I don't know if they can do that based on what this console's supposed to do. So not trying to be doom and gloom, Rob, and I'm not saying that
Yeah.
Xbox is over, but at this stage of the game, what, 3 years in, um, being behind by that much, do you think it's what can do you think it matters? That's my first question to you. Let me ask you that. Does it matter?
That is a very good question. And you can look at it from a couple of different ways. So, first of all, how much, on a personal level, I think for us and a lot of the people in our community, the number of PS4s versus Xboxes that are sold out there, Xbox Ones, we probably don't really care because it doesn't diminish our enjoyment of the system any. And from a user perspective, does it really matter? Does it really matter who's in the lead? I would say probably not. My only
It could,
concern
though.
is what?
It could if, okay, Rob, say you and I game all the time on Xbox One. I'm your co-op buddy, and all of a sudden I go, Rob, I got this PS4 Pro, dude. It's awesome. I sold my Xbox. Now you've just lost a friend, and unless you come across and jump ship too, so it can affect your friends when they start to go to another console. You start to lose your
True.
player base.
Yeah, but you know, look at gamer folks. So you're either going to have two kinds of, well, actually, period. You're either going to have two kinds of people. You're going to have the people that get one console and then that's it. And then you have the people that are full-on gamers. They have everything. They have your Nintendos, your Sonys, your Microsofts, your you name it. They've got it all. So these sales numbers, I think, are only really influenced by the people that stick to one thing. Like I know a guy that he just buys Sony. He has no clue. He has no clue what else is out there. He just buys Sony. A new Sony comes out, he just buys it. Doesn't really play it, but he just buys it. So that counts towards the numbers. Like out of those millions and millions of Sonys that are out there, I'm curious to know what the actual use rate is. Sony versus Xbox, but that's something that we probably won't see. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if all these are sold because generally they're usually sold at a loss anyway. And where these
Well,
companies make money from is the games. And are those Sony games being sold?
so that's kind of my question too, and it's not when I ask the question, does it matter? I mean, does it matter from Microsoft's perspective? So not you and me, not the gamers.
Yeah.
We've already everybody on the show, we've already bought into it. We bought our Xbox. From Microsoft's standpoint, they're losing, and we can, Sony was losing last time, okay, and now they're the leader. So you could probably look at it that way, that it doesn't matter, and maybe the next round, maybe the Scorpio will. Maybe this is the next one that puts Microsoft back in the lead, and they're going to flip flop. Who knows? Maybe the Switch will blow Sony and Microsoft both out of the water. If that happens, though, I think I'm giving up gaming for good because I just don't see the whole thing. I just don't
Yeah.
get Switch. To me, that should be the final nail in the coffin for Nintendo, but it won't be. But and I don't want it to be. But that system looks retarded. Um, but if it continues to grow and they throw Scorpio at it. So let's say Scorpio's coming the end of the year. If that doesn't start to make up the difference, even with the much better piece of hardware, does it matter? Does Microsoft look at that and go, I don't know, we can't do it? Because if you look at it, they haven't been in this industry long. So they came out with their very first console to compete against PlayStation 2. Well, that they came out long after PS2 had already been out, and that original Xbox didn't last long. 360 came out, had a year lead before the PS4 or PS3. So yeah, they had a whole year in with a new gen before Sony. They were able to make up and lead. And I think with the end of that though, I'll have to look up the final numbers. I do believe that PlayStation I think actually surpassed. I think PS3 actually surpassed 360. I thought at one point it finally did. And I can look those up later if we get some time, but it didn't matter because Microsoft and the Wii won the console race anyways because of ridiculous numbers that thing sold. But and now Nintendo is pretty much straight in third. So does it maybe it doesn't matter because we have a console manufacturer in third place. But the Switch is about to come out and Scorpio's coming out. Sounds like Sony's released their last one with the Pro. Um, I don't know. I just wonder if Microsoft needs to do something else to try to help it because I don't know if another console is going to make the difference.
It really depends on are they facing the Chrysler situation of the like 90s. Do you remember all those Chrysler cars in the 90s and 80s? They got such a bad rap that people would not even consider them. And they came out with some okay cars, but they had such a bad stigma that you know shoppers looked elsewhere, and they took a long time to recover from that. Is the damage that was done, and we'll go back to that pre-release thing that I forgot that guy's name. What's the guy that left in with the Zynga?
Uh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Matrick?
Yeah, yeah. You know, with him and all that stuff that happened in the pre-release and all the bad press and Xbox in the submarine, if you remember that,
Yeah,
you know, is did that just create a bad stigma that they are just trying to recover from? I mean, did it? And if there is that stigma amongst people that don't follow gaming, then personally, I don't think a new system is going to do much for it. Maybe it'll have to be next generation or something. I don't know. I don't know. It just somebody's got to be in first. Somebody's got to be in first place. There's got to be a second, and somebody's got to be in last place. So last place typically is Nintendo. Well, in our minds at
they
least.
don't care.
Yeah, and then first and second is going to flip flop between Sony and PlayStation, and I mean that's Sony and Xbox,
Right.
Microsoft. So
Well, the thing is too, and like
it,
Hawk said, yeah, they sell more games on. They sell more. Oh, he says they sell more games on PS4, but not 2 to 1. And the thing is we've seen people like um, Activision has jumped ship. They used to be all tied in with exclusives and early releases on Microsoft's platform. Now they've jumped over to PlayStation. There was another. I can't think of. I know there's another franchise that does that now too. That's flipped over. So um, it's like well, maybe that's still Activision because it's Call of Duty. Now I think about it. So Call of Duty and Destiny have both kind of like we're going over here and setting up in this camp, and to heck with Xbox, we'll get it to you when we get it to you if we want to. Um,
right.
those types of things. People hear about that. Consumers hear about that, and the whole thing with the P's. Well, you only get 1080p over here, but you only get 900 over here, and even though you won't really notice the difference and the games look pretty much identical, people still hear that type of stuff, and that's why I'm just wondering if Microsoft needs to do something, or are they okay? Is it all good? They're going to release the Scorpio, whether it makes a difference or not. They still got great games, great service. Is that all they need to do is just keep on doing on, or do you think they need to step it up and try to do something to close that gap and get more even?
So it's like, who who are the people that are totally on the Sony side? Is it people that just don't know? Is it just like the lemmings out there that just buy a system because they hear it's the best, but they have no idea?
I think it's the majority of people, and that goes in any direction for anything. That's just. I think a lot of consumers are just uneducated. You
Right.
know, you can look at that in any kind of. Let's take. I think you're pretty much an Android guy, right, with your
Yeah.
phone, and I'm a very much an iPhone guy. Um, but I don't. I'm not one of these diehard Apple people. I don't like Apple. I actually hate Apple. But the iPhone is a pretty. I think it's a really fantastic product, and I've used Windows phones. I've used Android phones. I've tried to get away from Apple, and to me, it's a superior product for me. It's great for me, and doesn't mean that I want Android or Windows. I hated that the Windows went away because I actually liked that phone. Um, but yeah, it's just well, I think I was losing my train of thought. So you were asking, are people just uneducated? I think a lot of people are. They're just like, oh, this is great because that's what my friend said so, and they're a tech guy, so they must know what's going on. I'm not going to do any research myself to try to think for myself. I mean, look at it with politics or anything else in this world. Everybody just they read one website that some person throws up, and oh well, it says it on the internet. It must be true.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are that way. Hawk said that even GameStop is still telling their employees they're selling it wrong, saying the Xbox One must be online all the time. And that's Microsoft's fault. But I think GameStop is at fault at this point. 3 years later, they should have their facts right if that's truly what they're doing. Um, you know, but yeah, I mean, I don't think the Xbox One's any different than a PlayStation 4. If you want updates or you gonna get this, you want to play online. Guess what? You got to be online. So, and like Hawk says, people assume that people at GameStop or Best Buy or Walmart or wherever, if they're working in that department, people tend to take it that they know what they're talking about, and that's not the case in probably every instance, including GameStop. Just because they're a games only store doesn't mean those guys are experts. They're just getting paid. Probably a lot of them probably hate gamers.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, did you have any other thoughts on this particular article?
No.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out of here. All right. So I'm going to. Uh, you got the next two.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I was actually pretty excited about this bit of news here, and there's a lot of people out there that use Kodi. I've used Kodi for a long time. Previously, it was called XBMC, Xbox Media Center. It was out for quite a while. Actually, wow, could it be like 15 years? No, not 15 years. At least 10 years. Because it originally started on the original Xbox console in the Xbox Media Center.
Dude, I
So,
think I remember that thing.
yeah, so here we are years later. Um, it's changed its name to Kodi a couple of years ago. It's matured like crazy. It does so much stuff, and looks like it's going to be coming to Xbox One, which is pretty darn amazing. So it'll be a Win32 app via something called Project Centennial. It'll be coded as a native Windows app. So yeah, that's pretty exciting that we'll be able to watch Kodi content, or you'll be able to use Kodi on your Xbox One to watch your content. So I have a media server that I have at my house, and I usually use Kodi to watch all the content from there. So it's going to be awesome to be able to ditch the Android boxes or whatever you have that you're using to watch the content, and be able to do it on Xbox One. Very exciting.
Cool.
And then next up, oh, yeah, here we go. Next up, backwards compatibility. I was having some trouble clicking the link because the link up above was hiding the link below in our screen. Anyway, Xbox backwards compatibility has been out for quite some time. We've got over 300 titles, I think.
Yep.
2, 3 shows ago, we had the exact number. I don't recall exactly what it
I
is
want to
right
say
now.
it was like 314 or 323 maybe. I think that's what it was.
Hmm. So Phil Spencer was posed a question as to whether backwards compatibility, 360 backwards compatibility, would come to PCs. So if you kind of think about it, Xbox One is technically a Windows box. It's got a Windows 10 core that is shared amongst all the different devices, PCs, mobile, and Xbox and such. So technically, if they can make games backwards compatible on an Xbox One, couldn't they also do it on PC? So you could actually have that entire uh, title range that you might have on Xbox also be playable as Play Anywhere, maybe
Yeah.
on your PC. And Phil Spencer's response was never say never.
Hmm.
So that doesn't rule it out. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But they did go on to say basically that it is a little bit tougher to do it on PC with all the varying configurations versus an Xbox One, which is pretty much static. So you have, one set of processors, RAM, memory, GPU, all of that, versus PCs, which could be anything. So I would imagine it'd probably be a lot tougher to make it work on PCs, but never say never. Would you
Yeah.
want to see this?
I it doesn't impact me in any way. I would if I'm gonna play backward compatible games, I'd do it on my one. I would
Yeah,
never. I just don't play games on the PC. So I think it's a neat option. Um, the kind of cool part about that is maybe if you have an older laptop or something like that, and you're traveling, you might be able to play Xbox 360 games on your laptop or something. Um, that would be nice, to pass the time if you're traveling.
sure.
So I can see stuff like that, but I don't really have a great interest in it. But I think that's kind of neat. What I want to see is original Xbox games coming backward compatible, even though I probably wouldn't play them. But it'd be nice to have that, and those games are sold, and most like even GameStop doesn't really sell those anymore. Um, they could open up a store and sell those. Sell those old
Sure.
games, and have them just available working on your Xbox One. That I would like to see that more than this, but I think having both is cool.
Oh, yeah.
Cool stuff.
Okay. That was it.
All right. Well, that wraps up our roundtable. But before we move on, I do want to say, guys, if you, for those that are watching on Twitch, you're going to miss out on this. So you got to, I'm encouraging you to download this week's episode, the audio episode, because we are going to tag on about a 20-minute audio file courtesy of This Sunburnt Life. This is from our friends in Australia. They have a little bit of a discussion call about what is a game. So we are going to tack that on to the end of our audio show this week. Due to it's 20 minutes long, we're not gonna play it here because we do have time limits on the video. But we will have that. It will be available on the audio version of the show this week. So please do be sure to download that and check it out. All right, so let's move on to if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can go to thisxboxlife.com, click on the voicemail link on the right side, and just send us a voicemail. Be sure to leave your gamer tag and question or comment, and we will put it in the show. Also, if you want to email us, you can email us at contact@thisxboxlife.com. All right, we did get an email this week, so well, which I'll come back to. Also, Twitter. You can go to again thisxboxlife.com /Twitter or /Facebook to reach our Facebook communities and Twitter. So your choice. They're all pretty easy links. All right. So I want to go back to we did get an email. This came from Skin. He says, "Hi guys, at the end of this week's show, Brun said that clicking the Amazon link from the TXL website was the best way for US only TXL fans to help support the show. Please, can we point out that the TXL website also has a link to the UK Amazon for fans in the UK to help support you also? Keep up the good work." So Rob, when Brun said this last week, I thought that he was in error, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I'm really glad this question came in. Now, my understanding was the sexboxlife.com/Amazon link or the link from the website both of those will take you to the correct Amazon store based on their IP location, correct?
Yes, yes.
All right. So cool. See, Rob did all his magic. He's our guru. And Brun was wrong. But he was sick. But I really thought he was. And I was like, well, I better not say something and then I be wrong and cause more confusion. So thank you, Skin, for writing in. And Rob, thank you for clarifying. You can use that link or the one on the website. If you're in UK, it'll take you to the UK site. We have a Canada site. I don't know. We got them all over. But yeah, definitely use that link. Facebook. Okay, so this one might take a little bit of time. We had a question come in on Facebook. Um, we we are all Devo. He says, I decided to take the plunge and try Witcher 3. This is the first time I have played such a game. Is this normal to feel lost and confused? This seems so overwhelming, and it created a bit of a conversation going on in the Facebook group, and then um, oh, Dawn. Trying to remember her gamer tag. It's Dawn VC. I can't. Anyways, I'm drawing a blank, but it's Dawn. Anyway, says I've played all the Fallout games and just started Fallout 4, and I'm in the same overwhelmed boat. Is it me, or have games given up on telling you how to do things in game because they figure you can just Google how tos? It sort of takes away my immersion if I have to pick up my tablet every few minutes to figure out how to do things. Fallout 4 gave me very little info on settlements. Remember manuals, the pieces of stapled paper that used to come with a game? I still miss them. And then she tagged me later and said, I really would like to hear you guys talk about this. Um, I I do think that this is a problem. Um, I think in like was it what game I played something recently, and there was like I realized that like there was no tutorial. It seemed like there was like nothing. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, why was there no tutorial? I don't know what to do, and I just cannot remember what game that was. But games like I remember being even before like Mass Effect. The original Mass Effect was one where I'm like I had no clue what I was supposed to do, and they may have had a decent training. Just could have been I don't know, but I don't remember the game. It was so long ago, but I remember buying the game, trying it out because everybody was talking about how great it was. I couldn't figure out what to do. I couldn't get past a certain mission. I just didn't get it. It was confusing. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. So I ended up selling the game back to GameStop. And then I don't know, a year or two later, it was right before Mass Effect 2 came out. I was like, man, that thing looks awesome. And I ended up going back to Mass Effect. I got lost or stuck at the same spot. And finally, I just asked Kyle, Moronic Cal from Achievement Hounds. I was like, dude, what? Because I knew he had played it. I was like, help me through this. And he actually is like, oh, you do this, you do that. This is what you. And once I got past that initial like hump, then it was game on. I was, but I myself I have this problem all the time, and I don't know if it's because I'm just getting too freaking old, or if or it's just because there's just not enough information anymore, like training missions or talking about what you're supposed to do. Because I feel that way with a lot of games these days. Like I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. So, Rob, I can't really rely on you for the younger.
Mhm.
I only got you by a year, but um, what do you think? I mean, do you ever have this problem starting a new game?
It's this is the problem with what I'll call open world games. When you have games that I think you and I both grew up on, what do we call them? Rail shooters or something like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
Basically, you're guided through the entire game. You go into a room from a door. There's one door coming out of it on the opposite side, and you go through it and then repeat the process. You're always looking for that next way out. And there's a little bit of familiarity with that, and you have a sense of accomplishment because you just go through stuff. When you have an open world game that you can kind of do whatever you want, that requires a different level of play. That requires the type of person to actually go through and explore, to kind of like see, almost like in real life. Like if you're visiting another country, it's like you don't know where to go and you don't know where to eat, where to stay. Well, let's say if you just went there without having any plans or having booked anything, and that requires you to basically interact and figure stuff out, and you make decisions on the fly. That's what some of these games like the Fallouts and the Witchers are, where you just basically go by the game by the seat of your pants, and you have to make the decisions, and you might spend a bunch of time not knowing where you're at. You don't know where you're at. You don't know where to go. But eventually, once you go through enough, I think there's a tipping point where you actually now know enough about the environment, you know enough about what's around you that you can make those decisions. You get the familiarity, and then you have that sense of play again that you weren't getting earlier. Does that make sense, sort of?
Yeah. I think, like, for me, my real struggles have been more, like you said, like the open world or the RPGs, like Neverwinter Nights, Star Trek Online, Elder Scrolls. I tried that one, and there is so much to those games. I don't think there's a real there's I don't think it's even possible for them to actually say, here's how you do. And I think there might be, it's more of like, well, if you go read this manual that's in the game, I think they put a lot of that type of stuff like into the game of like, well, read this and explains it. And there's usually so much text in there, I'm just like skipping stuff, so I'm probably missing all the stuff that's teaching you how to play. But I'm trying to remember what game it was that I played not long ago, and I don't think it was one of those types of games. I don't think, because those I'm always like, I just don't know what to do. Oh, it was with the Division. That's what it was. Even the Division, which pretty much kind of handholds you to certain points, like the main gameplay and the main things that you need to do. But when you get into like the crafting or you can, there's the option to like re-roll your weapons. It's like I never do that. I've never done that. I don't understand that. And it's like I've tried to go in there, and it was like I remember it was Mojo Red was talking to me one day, and he was explaining all, and I'm like, how are these people getting these massive like damage numbers and stuff? I'm like half of that, and I've got a great weapon, and he's like, oh well, you got to re-roll it, and I was like, what do you mean re-roll it? And I'm like, oh well, you go up to the station and you do this, and then you try to get different um, features of the weapon or skills or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, I've been playing this game all wrong then. Like, and it's like I had like probably well over 100 hours in here. I wasn't even really playing the game fully or all the way correctly, or I'm missing a big chunk that I'm not even aware of. Um, and I was just like, oh man, this is frustrating. I should know this or I should understand it. Um, Neverwinter and Star Trek Online and Elder Scrolls. It's just like those, as fun as I might find those games, they have so much in them that it kind of goes beyond anything that I even want to delve into. Where I like Diablo 3 is awesome because it has some of that, but it's not ridiculously. It's like it's more action oriented and not that. So I think that's like where I fall in. I can do that, and even that sometimes I'm like, oh, well, which one's better? You get into all these stats, and you're like, do I get rid of this shield and take this shield, or well, it's green here but red there, and how do I know? And it lists all these traits, and you're like, well, what does all that mean? Yes, we are all Devo. It can be very overwhelming, very confusing. My recommendation in a situation like that is do what I've done. Find somebody on your friends list that's played it. get in a party with them and say, dude, what the heck does this mean? What am I supposed to do? Start that conversation with someone because they can really help you out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's about the only way around it because yeah, there really aren't any stapled guides anymore. No more handbooks to read.
Would people even read them though?
People
I
used
think
to, I think.
they used to, but I think we got out of that whole reading a book thing. Like with board games, for example. Board games come with a manual, an instruction manual, rules. They come with rules. Sometimes they're pretty in depth. They're multiple pages. And there are a lot of people, they can't even be bothered to read that. They need somebody to show them how to play, which is the popularity of YouTube
Yeah.
and all these channels. And games made that switch years ago. They came with a manual. Then eventually they came with little books. Like I remember, was it Baldur's Gate, for example, on PC? I want to say that came with a fairly big book, and a lot of it was probably story. I don't remember exactly what was in it, but there was a lot of stuff in there, and we've migrated from that to the in-game tutorial that spoon feeds you everything. Is that maybe the problem that you were having earlier in the show when you were talking about it? Remember that?
Could be.
When
Could be. I mean, yeah, you're right. Everything is kind of, spoon fed. I even feel like myself in my personal life, like that I'm like dumb. Like I can't remember anything because I don't have to remember anything. I just pull my
right,
phone
right,
out and Google it now. I couldn't tell you what my phone number is. I actually was in the Walmart the other night with my daughter and trying to punch in the little, or not Walmart, the Walgreens, trying to punch in the code for the reward program that my wife's on. And I'm like, okay, I know her cell phone. I know my cell phone. I'm like, and my daughter's like, I think it's the house number. And I'm like, I don't know what the house number is. I don't use it. I don't call it,
yeah,
And it's like the only phone number I really know is mine and my wife's. And that's it. Because everything else, I used to know everybody's phone number. I used to know yours. I don't know your phone number anymore. And your phone number hasn't changed in like 30 years. You
no,
know? It's like, I just go in and hit your name on my phone and it dials it. It's like I don't need to know that anymore.
yeah,
We were talking to I was talking with the kids last night. We were at dinner and we were talking about solar flares, and my son's like, I heard solar flares can like wipe out your phones, and I said, well, they can, if we have them, yeah, they can disrupt cell communications, take out your GPS on your phone so they don't work and stuff like that. And I was like, I told the wife, I said, man, I would be lost without my GPS because I rely on it when I travel so much that it's like, man, if I didn't have that, you almost feel like, what do I do? How do I find the airport? It's like, I'm going to have to go ask somebody and then write down directions. And you can't buy a map anymore. When my dad was out here or visiting not long ago, he just wanted a map, like to see the area. And it was like we went to several different places before he found one. It's like, oh, hey, here's one. They actually have one. And then it was super expensive. So
yeah.
yeah, we've gotten so relying on technology that I think we've kind of dumbed us down. And video games are pretty much the same way. We've gotten so used to them walking us through, and shooters usually do. They usually walk you through how to do this. But then it's also annoying at the same time. It's like, oh, gee, really? Press B to crouch just like in every other game? You know? Um, what? I mean, I hold left trigger to zoom in on look down my scope? Really? Like every other game? So then I think you run the line of, okay, they already know how to play this. But open world games is tough, and I think that I would like to see more training on that. But where do you draw the line when you got a game that has so much stuff in it?
Yeah, because you don't want to bore people like crazy. There's been so many games, let's say on PC in particular, where I start the tutorial and then I lose interest halfway through the tutorial. I never even get to the game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Actually, you do.
No, I
Don't think
get through it. I
there's
know
a
you don't.
flaw?
You. I think you're lucky to get through the tutorial on many games.
Yeah,
Do you
very good.
remember like that game, that video game, Falcon 4.0?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember that? It was back on it was back, I'm in a Microprose game on back on Windows. I remember having that friggin' manual, dude. That manual had to be that thick. I mean, it was like a real pilot's manual. It's like you really had to go to school and learn how to fly a plane to play the video game. I don't miss that. I don't miss that, but I do. I think having manuals were nice. But so, don't. You're not alone out there. That's yeah. You're not alone. All right. I think that's all for our community stuff. Rob, I think it's time for you to earn your money.
All right. Did we talk about it? Yeah, we talked about all of this stuff. Okay. So retail releases for this coming week. There's a bunch of titles, and the page is not loading. There it is. All right. So we got a whole bunch of titles. How to Survive, How to Survive 2, actually, releases on February 13th. On Valentine's Day, we get a nice gift of Sniper Elite 4, Ride 2, For Honor, Vertical Drop Heroes HD, MX Nitro, Star Trek Online Agents of Yesterday, Battle Islands Commanders, and so that was it on the 14th. And then on the 17th, we have Halo Wars 2 Ultimate Edition, and then Standard Edition releases on the 21st. So that's a good amount of titles, actually.
Yeah, you got 3 major releases with For Honor, Halo Wars 2, and Sniper Elite 4. Um, so I'm looking. My gaming buddy, he bought Halo Wars 2, so I'll be playing that at the end of the week. But I Sniper Elite 4 was one that was like, yeah, I like that. I like that series. I've played Sniper Elite 2. I really liked it. I played 3, which I enjoyed, but I kind of felt it was a little weak. It wasn't as good, I thought, as 2. So I really was like, I don't know. I don't know. I know I want to get Wildlands. I know Run's getting Mass Effect and Halo Wars, so those count. Those two I didn't have to buy. I was like, well, there was something else too. So Ghost Recon and I forgot what the other one was I was looking at, but I was like trying to debate between Sniper Elite and something else. And I ended up watching a video yesterday of Sniper Elite 4 and just watching it because I was like, this is it's got the whole bullet time, and then it goes through the skull and you see it break go through the eyeball or through the heart. You see that all internally, and it's like, yeah, they've done that, but and it's like, yeah, okay, whoop de doo. But when I saw it, I was like, when I saw it again, I just kind of like started grinning, and I immediately was just like, oh, I can't wait to play this game. I want to play this game again. And the game looks amazing. It's like visually, wow, they really have upped their game, and it looks fantastic. And they've also added in that whole like X-ray vision, if you will, like when you melee somebody. So like you can punch a guy and they actually go into that slow mo. You punch him and you see like his gut and all that getting pushed in, and then when they stun the guy pulls out a knife and he stabs the guy in the head. And you see the X-ray vision again when he stabs him in the head, and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome! That looks so cool." Um, so, uh, yeah, I'm like, I ended up buying that one, so I will definitely be playing Sniper Elite 4 this week. If anybody else gets it, I'm assuming they're gonna have multiplayer in it. It's I know they did in 3, but I think it was cooperative stuff, which is cool. So if that does exist in this game, then and you've got it, hit me up. I will definitely jump in with you and play some co-op for Sniper Elite 4. But looking forward to playing that.
All right.
Anything on
So
this list that you want?
let's see here. Sniper Elite 4, definitely. Although Sniper Elite 3 was kind of weird. There's like weird visuals of that one. Can't put my finger on it.
There was Sniper Elite 3 to me was seems to me it was I think what I didn't like was a lot of really large open spaces and like if I recall you could get sniped from somebody like that wasn't even in your view. And I just remember having to replay some stuff over and over because it was just really like real complicated. It wasn't as
Yeah.
straightforward as two was. So I'm hoping this one is a little bit more like two, but the visually it looks great. So check
Yeah.
out the latest video on that. There's one out there that shows him taking out the Hitler, and that one looks fantastic. Highly recommend checking that video out because he's indoors and you really get a sense of how good it looks. Now I will say this is that the AI I thought several times, and I even posted this on my Facebook group, and I did post the video there. Um, the AI, my one concern was like the AI kept walking right past him. Like while they're searching for him, several times they just walked right past him. I'm like, he's standing right there. How did this? That was kind of stupid. And then it seemed like this guy just kept getting shot like crazy, and he didn't die at all. And I was just like, well, what the heck, So I'm hoping it was just this guy was playing on the easiest level, because if not, that was like this will be a cakewalk based on what I saw. But the game looks great, and I'm hoping that that there is a harder level, which I'm sure there will be, because they usually have that. That will be a little bit better to play. So I'm getting it anyways. So
Yeah, so that and Halo Wars 2. Those are
yes,
the
yep, I got that one ready to go as well.
yeah, yeah.
And
All right.
Carbide, stop using caps.
All right. Games with Gold for February. These got updated about a week and a half ago. So you got a couple more days to get the first half of February titles. So as of right now, they are Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time for Xbox One. And then on the 360, we have Monkey Island 2 Special Edition. And then second half of February for Xbox One, we have Project Cars Digital Edition. And then we will be getting Star Wars Force, The Force Unleashed. Both of those games, actually, all those games are free, and make sure to get the backwards compatibility titles as well, because they are backwards compatible and you can play them on your Xbox One.
Possibly your PC if that holds true.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah,
We shall see. Never say never, right?
right.
Right. Then, if you're thinking of some way how you can support the podcast, then one way that you can do that is by clicking on our affiliate link each and every time you make your purchases on Amazon. We all make purchases through there, buy gifts, buy regular consumables, who knows what, spare parts, appliance parts. Just make sure to use our affiliate link each and every time that you make those purchases. Does not cost you anything extra by clicking on that link, but we get a little teeny tiny little finder's fee for each purchase, basically as a finder's fee for sending you their way. Then also, if you're on iTunes, find our show on there and give us a rating, 5 stars if you would please. The more 5-star ratings that we get, the the higher up we go in the rankings over there, and it helps us become a featured show. So more and more folks can find out about the show and grow the community. And I believe that's about it for this episode. You got anything else to add, Mark?
Just a reminder to be sure to download the audio version of this show this week, and you can, if you've already heard us through tonight, you can fast forward to the end and listen to the last 20 minutes to hear what is a game, courtesy of This Sunburnt Life. That's Richard and Andrew down in Australia. So be sure to check it out. Otherwise, that's it. I am Mark, aka Wingman 709, taking off.
I'm Rob, also known as Presar. Thanks for listening, everybody.